For centuries, Alderaan stood as a beacon of hope in the Republic. The Empire came.
I have chosen to test this station's destructive power on your home planet of Alderaan.
Peace while you suffer. The Emperor drowns you in black waters.
He wants me to be Darth Revan again. Serve him as I did centuries ago. He made me a Sith Lord and named me Darth Revan. The Force does not control you. You saved your guardian using something you thought was important. But your motives are still aligned with the Jedi code.
To arms, men! Defend the throne! Anakin Skywalker was weak. I destroyed him. He was weak and foolish, like his father. So I destroyed him.
Was to window, you have fought gallantly. Worthy of recognition in the archives of the Jedi. It is finished.
To them it is.
I have been waiting for you. Is it true that he is the chosen one?
Hey guys, and welcome back to State of the Galaxy episode 5. Today I'm joined by two guests. If you guys want to introduce yourselves, go for it.
Hi, I'm Ellena.
It's me, Harrison, back again.
Yeah. And so this episode will be coming out on the day just after the main release of Star Wars Episode 8, but we won't jump into any of that because I'll be doing a separate spoiler cast, no doubt. Harrison and myself at some point will be doing a full-length thoughts on the film, as we said in a previous episode. But anyway, we got a couple of subjects planned for today. First of which we may have mentioned in a previous podcast. Harrison, I want you to lead this a little bit.
Oh.
Yeah, go on, man. Go on, lead it.
Got a few discussions about the different tanks for the Republic and the Empire. Small comparisons. And slight evolution as well, really, isn't it? So,
yeah, I mean, the Empire kind of evolved from the Republic, so you're going to get similarities and differences. But they're as good as the Empire are at taking on their adversaries. There are moments where it's just ridiculous how quickly they get defeated.
Are not really prepared for
one A-wing
being assaulted. More prepared to take on
that one A-wing. So we've got two to compare today, haven't we?
Yeah.
We've got the Juggernaut, which is the clone turbo tank, which you see mostly on Kashyyyk in Episode 3. For Ellena, you haven't seen that film yet.
No.
Just imagine an AT-AT with bottom wheels. That's essentially, and they're equipped.
It's got rocket pods.
Yeah, they're equipped with rocket pods, cannons. They can carry troops. They're quick. So what have you? 100 miles per hour, and that's across
top speed,
rough terrain. Because they've got the wheels are so big, the beaches of Kashyyyk didn't really.
No, and a nifty little thing as well. It's got a periscope.
Oh, nice.
A little viewing tower like you had before.
Oh yeah, because the Lego model you were able to extend that. That's pretty cool. And so what are we comparing it against? The AT-AT, which you have seen in Empire Strikes Back.
Is that the one that just gets knocked over?
Yeah, that's the one that gets taken down pretty easily. So obviously one disadvantage that is not shared by the Juggernaut is the fact that it can be taken down by a piece of fairly strong string.
A little bit of like cotton wool and string there.
Just fly around it a couple of times and take it down like you would a dinosaur in Jurassic Park.
Going deer hunting, you know?
Yeah.
But
and obviously the Juggernaut is far faster than the AT-AT. Have you clocked it at any?
The AT-AT
37 miles an hour. What a load of rubbish.
We could probably walk faster than an hour. Give or take.
It's
that's top speed. So
top speed.
The
Were they going slowly then?
Like,
it's like no, we have a setting called menacing.
we want to be menacing and disturbing.
We want to take 3 hours to get to Echo Base.
It's like if they see us on the horizon.
By which point they've evacuated pretty much everybody.
Yeah, everyone's left. Oh, crap.
It's just ground troops left.
Back we go, 4 hours backwards.
But I feel like there are some elements of the AT-AT that are stronger than the turbo tank. I mean, its shielding's greater, isn't it?
Yeah.
Also, its secondary weapon is so destructive it's able to destroy an entire base.
Yeah, the AT-AT's got a lot heavier firepower.
It's in a way it's a bit more accurate because what were the missiles that the turbo tank?
I think it's just anti-infantry missiles.
And they were everywhere.
Yeah, they just literally disperse. And
yeah.
explode in, like, fragments.
Just for hope for the best that you weren't hitting your own troops.
Yeah, let's just shoot. It doesn't matter.
But with the AT-AT, it was far more precise.
Yeah, it's just straight, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, you can't make a laser bolt go wrong, really, can you?
No, unless you're firing it from a stormtrooper rifle, in which case there's every chance it won't hit its chosen target. But so what are your thoughts then, Harrison, on the verses?
Well,
so we pitch. Let's choose a battlefront where we fight. Where are we pitching these guys?
I don't know, some sort of like flat plains world.
Yeah.
Because it would sort of play to both advantages, wouldn't it? I mean, the turbo tank can drive really fast.
So just a giant bridge.
Yeah.
One's at one end and one's at the other.
Sort of plateau type area, you know, like just flat land. But
yeah.
The turbo tank probably wouldn't even be able to destroy the AT-AT because
because of its shielding.
The weaker guns.
Yeah.
On the turbo tank.
The only thing that the turbo tank would have to its advantage is that it has a greater deployment of troops, as far as I'm aware.
No, the turbo tank actually has less troops.
Does it have less troops?
2 less. It has 38.
Wow.
And the AT-AT has 40.
Oh, wow.
And speeder bikes. So it's actually got more of an advantage.
Wow.
But
okay.
They just get down so awkwardly, don't they? They got roped down.
But so long as you're not a tiny little ship with the ability to launch a tow cable, you should probably be okay.
Maybe.
Against
the guys are trying now get caught by a tow cable.
or they decide to invade a town during the time they're having a celebration. Just low bunting that's aligning the town takes them down.
Well, that's the one thing with AT-ATs though. You could use them at sea. Shallow
oh, what kind of like Pacific Rim style?
Yeah.
Just stroll across the.
Or like rivers and lakes.
Do you reckon they're watertight?
Yeah.
Oh, they are. Okay.
Their environment tight against the cold, and they can be used in space.
All right.
Makes them airtight as well.
Nice. Well, the clone turbo tank doesn't share that, does it?
No, we only see it once, really.
Yeah, but from what we see, it doesn't look airtight.
No, I doubt it probably drive underwater like a submersible.
No. Unlike the droid tanks, but that's a different subject for a different day. So are we in agreement then that the clone turbo tank would be pretty much just slab of cheese against this thing?
It looks really nice.
Yeah, it looks nice, and it's quick, and it's durable against what it did face on Kashyyyk.
Yeah, it's a different combat role because the turbo tank's meant to literally push through and be in the centre of a battlefield and sort of, they call it like a line breaker, so it's obviously meant to go forwards. The AT-AT can obviously fire from quite far away and still be really effective. But it's like a rapid troop deployment sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty much in agreement that the turbo tank probably wouldn't stand.
I mean,
enough turbo tanks against one AT-AT, perhaps.
Perhaps. I mean, if you hit in the neck or undercarriage, you'd probably destroy it. But they're very awkward shots to get, aren't they, really?
They are, yeah. I mean, Luke was very, very lucky just being able to grapple up.
He has the force, he has a lightsaber.
I love the numerous sketches that they've done with that, like Family Guy when he cuts open the belly and he climbs in and it's a womb with a tiny little baby AT-AT. It's like, I just think it's a war.
It's a war, man.
And he blows it up. And then in Robot Chicken, when he throws in the bomb, it's the room that enters the lavatory section and just the bomb bounces in while the stormtrooper's sitting on the loo. But yes, I'm in agreement. I don't know about you. Yeah.
I mean, it's
From
something.
what I've heard,
It's something you've never seen before, and it's something that's really great. So.
Something that I saw get just completely knocked out by a piece of string.
Yeah.
Not even like super metal string. It's like wall.
But I feel like, Ellena, that you're at a rather unique position with the Star Wars universe at the moment because you haven't seen all the films. And I was wondering, I've been wondering this for a while, though you know the main things that happen within the films that you haven't seen, what kind of direction would you like them to go with Star Wars Episode 6? Because that's the one that we'll hopefully be following on to. Do you need a bit of a recap?
Vaguely, yeah.
Okay, so at the end of Episode 5, you've had the Darth Vader, I am your father moment. Luke's had his arm chopped off. Han Solo's in carbonite and has been taken away by Boba Fett. And Lando is wearing his clothes. But
oh, talk about stepping into someone's grave.
Yeah, it really was.
Let the clothes cool down first.
Yeah.
I'm taking notes. Thank you very much.
So, what would you like to see in episode 6?
I think probably an extension of Luke's dark side,
Yeah.
as it were, after everything in the cave on.
Oh yeah, the one where he sees like the dark side
Vader
vision of
person.
him as Vader. Because he will have been going through a lot of emotional stress at that point, because he's just realised this guy that killed old Ben and is for him at least the forefront of the evil galactic empire.
And
Is
a lot more people as well.
Yeah, and he's now related to him. That's quite a big blow. His best friend, or at least one of them, has been taken away. He's lost a body part that he relied on quite heavily.
An appendage he needs quite heavily.
Oh dear.
It's different with his other hand, you know.
Yeah, and he everything's very uncertain in the galaxy at the moment. So yeah, that'll be pretty cool to see more of Luke's dark side. And in a way, I suppose you might be quite happy with what you get, but I won't spoil it for you. So Harrison, you wanted to speculate a bit about the upcoming Han Solo film.
Yeah, I mean it's coming out next. I think it's April or May.
Yeah, they're planning to release it a bit earlier because with all the Star Wars films we've had so far, they've always fallen in December.
And they're falling on a sort of Star Wars story type thing, like Solo, a Star Wars story. So it's obviously not in the main line of things. It's kind of like Rogue One in that sense.
Yeah, well, they all will be because with Kenobi as well. But we've had it confirmed that Solo is the title of the film. Is there anything else you wanted to speculate about the film?
I think it would be pretty cool to see him do the Kessel Run.
In less than 12 parsecs.
Yeah, less than 12 parsecs. I mean, that would be interesting. It's like, what is the Kessel Run? I know it's an area of space, but was it like a race or...
Do you think he just like jumped into a race? It was like this really official thing.
We're gonna later tender.
It's the What's that heap of trash? Yeah, and I'd love to see his conflict with Lando, because when they arrive on Cloud City, there's a bit of conflict there. Despite the fact they patch it up, kind of like buddies, there's still a bit of a awkward moment there. Yeah.
And maybe some of Han Solo's training at the Imperial Academy as well, because he was a member.
Yeah. I don't know if they're going to keep that canon or not. Hopefully they do. Because then that might explain his kind of prejudice towards the Empire and stuff like that. And perhaps why the Empire always seem to jump him, because whenever he does jobs for Jabba, he always seems to be on their list.
It'd explain his sort of, what do you call it? He's quite a intelligent pilot, so maybe he had some sort of pilot training.
Also, I think you mentioned it before we started the podcast, I'd like to see how he comes to meet Chewie.
Because the Wookiees are heavily subjugated, aren't they?
They are, yeah. Most of them were put into slavery for the Death Star. So yeah, maybe Han rescued Chewie.
Yeah, maybe he was being trained on Kashyyyk and decided he'd had enough of it.
No, that's fair enough.
Because you don't really know how old Chewbacca is either.
No. Well, he doesn't really age, does he?
He's in Revenge of the Sith. Nothing really to compare it by.
No. I don't know. I don't actually know how long Wookiees live for.
No, because it's not like their fur gets darker or grey or anything when they're older. It's just sort of
no, it's just different colours for different Wookiees. But it tends to be the ones that are generals. They tend to have the darker fur. I suppose it runs off a kind of survival of the fittest premise, where the larger Wookiee is going to be the leader and the general and the warrior, whilst Chewie was probably more of a tactical Wookiee, I guess, if that's a thing.
Tactical Wookiee.
We don't understand anything you're saying. Just point. Booklet. So, yeah, I would like to see some of that cool stuff.
Maybe some of Han Solo's early dealings with the Hutt clans as well. Because everyone always forgets there's actually more than one Hutt clan.
There is more than one Hutt clan. So but weren't most of those extinguished during the Clone Wars? Because there was a massive slaughter.
The one was extinguished. There was Jabba the Hutt's uncle. But I'm sure there's more.
Because most of them died. Most of the Hutts died during the raid with Darth Maul and the Mandalorians. And I don't know how that left. I mean, I don't even know what happened to Jabba the Hutt's son.
No, you never hear of him again. It's kind of
no, you see him in one Clone Wars episode, and then that's about it.
He procreated?
He procreated. Yeah, he did.
Oh wow.
He really did.
The Gallets and the lies and the deceits and stuff.
maybe that's what he grew up into. Maybe it was just like his exposure to different environments. He became Bull Gullet.
Maybe it's like a sort of hereditary name. So maybe he is Jabba the Hutt is a name that's passed down.
With title, perhaps.
Maybe it's got a bit more meaning, like Mob King, or it's not really explained.
No, that's fair enough.
I don't know. Jabba the Hutt looked pretty old in the Clone Wars movie when they take him home. So
yeah, and he looked horrible as CGI Jabba in Episode 4. That was horrible. The eyes were all wrong. It was awful. But yeah, so I'm really hoping that this Han Solo film's going to be good. But I'm still really looking forward to Kenobi when that comes out.
2019, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, that'll be a while down the line.
It would just be so good to have this film. Just to have a Kenobi film. If they do it properly. I mean, we went through the synopsis with Tom about what I wanted them to do. And that was based off new canon as well. Because the one thing that I raised with him was, and you probably remember it from Star Wars Episode 4, that Uncle Owen was very prejudiced against Obi-Wan. And we never really understood why. And it turns out that in new canon, Obi-Wan saves Luke on 2 occasions, one of which is when he's driving his little skimmer through the canyons and he suffers an accident. And Obi-Wan, because he's actually working with the Jawas at that point, he uses his money to buy parts to then give to Luke, but in secret, so Luke doesn't know where the parts came from. So like a secret Santa type thing.
Yeah, but it then transpired that Uncle Owen then brings back the parts. It's just like we stop interfering, because he probably realizes the danger of overexposure between Obi-Wan and Luke. It could draw attention to the Empire and things like that.
See, with the timeline as well, there might be a bit of resentment considering Anakin's mum was their child, wasn't she? So
Anakin's mum was their child.
I'm pretty sure she was, wasn't she?
What, Uncle Owen?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure they take a body back to him in Attack of the Clones, didn't they?
Yeah, but they're already there. So the people that are present at that house, you've got Creek Lars. He's the one in the wheelchair, but he's the one who marries Beru. But I don't think she has children with him.
Never mind.
So maybe he had a wife prior to that, and that's where Owen came from, and then Beru was his girlfriend at the time, soon to be wife. So yeah, there's no relation with those, unfortunately. But yeah, and then it transpired after that Obi-Wan somehow saved Owen from dying. I think there was a point where he was hanging on to an edge of a canyon from a pirate's attack. And Obi-Wan was able to save him with the Force. But there was no exchange of thanks. It was just kind of like, okay, I see you're not all bad. But I'm still not cool with you.
Like a wave across the canyon.
Yeah. But we even know that Luke has met Obi-Wan at the point of Episode 4 because he recognises him.
But he sounds like that sort of... Every town's got a sort of hermit type person that everyone knows and has heard of. So maybe it's just like, got any change for a war veteran? Type person, you know? Rattle the coins. Need help, you know?
Well, to be fair, he had a pretty nice pad.
True.
His house was...
A couple of lightsabers and stuff.
It was pretty nice.
Yeah, it was nice for a cave.
And a book that I've been reading, and then unfortunately is no longer canon, it depicts Luke actually going back to that house after Episode 5 to read up on the teachings that Obi-Wan had written.
Oh, that's cool.
Because obviously Obi-Wan had a lot of downtime on Tatooine, so he was...
Like 30 years of it.
It was quite a while, so he was... he probably wrote quite a lot, studied quite a lot, perfected his martial arts. Well, to the best of his ability, despite the fact that fight between him and Vader was very slow.
Very clunky.
Very clunky.
Well, he is quite old at the time, isn't he? So it must be...
And
maybe he's got a slight case of arthritis.
And we've also got to acknowledge the fact that they were kind of experimenting with practical effects at the time because the lightsabers were actually reflective tubes.
Yeah.
That's why when you're watching the duels, sometimes they just kind of flicker in and out. It's because of the prop that they were using. So
they should have used Duracell batteries, is that what you're saying?
Well, I think in the remaster they just rotoscoped the whole thing so it looks proper. But in the original that was very little.
Yeah, the original one's got a lot of now compared to now's effects. So like ancient scientists like hitting 2 rocks together and making fire sort of thing.
Yeah, but you can definitely appreciate the amount of practical effects that they did use.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's just obviously the timing and the learning from that to now.
Because it came out in 1977.
I think that's right, yeah. So, there you go. So, yeah, you can probably forgive for some of that. And that's something that I'm fearing about the new films, is their lack of practical effects. But for the most part, as far as we've gone so far, it's been pretty good. I don't know whether you knew, but in Rogue One, I think it's when they're in a Scarif base, most of those scenes are shot inside Canary Wharf. So
it's just edited, isn't it? Like super CGI.
Yeah, they probably added a lot of background stuff and stuff like that. But for the most part, that's real.
Yeah, it's like parts of the new Jason Bourne film were filmed in Woolwich DLR station. And
Oh wow,
CGI'd.
Nice.
Rome. Yeah, comparable.
It's quite a jump, isn't it? Really. But yeah, so I'm hoping that they'll continue on these practical effects. I wonder if they'll redesign the Falcon for the Han Solo film.
Well, it would be kind of. Hopefully, it would look kind of newer and not as dinged up.
Yeah, and it was
like held together with like good intentions.
And hope, because Rebellion is built on hope.
Rebellion's built on hope. Yay!
I think there was someone who did a bit of concept art that showed that it had almost like blue racing stripes at one point.
Oh, not like Peter Quill's Guardians of the Galaxy. Blue and orange is a horrible combination.
It is a nasty old combination, but
should be more blue and less orange, not put a little bit of blue on it. And,
yeah, no, but yeah, I hope that they do a bit of a redesign with that, just to show that perhaps Han did a bit of tinkering during his time of having it.
Perhaps he modifies it from its original design, like the turrets might not have originally been there, or
because there's several versions of the Carillion freighter, isn't there? Where there's one where the cockpit's actually in the centre rather than off to the side.
I found out why it's at the side. It's to do with radar scanning.
Oh, okay.
Because where the dish is, if the cockpit's there, it makes a big blind spot.
Oh, okay.
So they actually put it on the other side, and the dish is opposite to the cockpit.
You must need a great amount of skill to be able to fly it, because I mean, I'd struggle to drive a car and remember that there's a whole other half.
Use your mirrors. I don't have any mirrors.
But with that, you can't physically see the other side of the ship.
It's not like the cockpit protrudes out much to the front either.
No, the front's a lot further past it.
Like bits at the front, and it's got sort of gap, hasn't it? So
yeah.
I don't really know what purpose they serve. It's just like.
Isn't it a docking clamp?
Not sure, because.
You never see it dock.
You never see it dock anyway. Just get tractor beam all the time. Like, I don't know.
Other ships dock with it, but it never docks with anything else. It picks up freight, doesn't it? It has kind of like canister clamps on it.
I can't remember.
I think there was a picture of one of the Carillion freighters with the actual canisters in that centre docking area.
Let's just have a look, eh?
Have a quick look.
But I wouldn't be surprised. It's just, it's got so many potential things it can do for one little ship.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. But so while you're looking that up, I don't know whether I mentioned this on podcast 4. I think I may have done, but I'm going to mention it because you weren't there for that one, Harrison. Neither were you, Ellena. Ryan Johnson. So I probably
that is the middle design one. That looks horrible.
Oh, does look nasty.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So Ryan Johnson, being the director of Star Wars Episode 8, and now the director and writer probably of the new trilogy that's coming out. As we know, that's cool. As we know, it's not going to follow the Skywalker storyline, but he's now confirmed that there's going to be no Old Republic stuff. Do not high five that.
But it's good to stick with one timeline. It's too confusing to go like.
But you could redesign the Old Republic.
It shouldn't be redesigned. It's good as it is.
Yeah, but it no longer exists because the canon got torn away.
It exists in here.
Yeah, it does, and
it exists in there.
Yeah, I still love the Old Republic, and the annoying thing is that he said on his post that he loves the Old Republic too, but he just doesn't want to touch it.
There's only one thing I didn't like about the Old Republic. That sort of prototype clone army was really strange.
Because they were the Republic army, but they look very similar to just regular clones.
I can understand with Star Wars they keep a lot of the ships and technology ships reused, or is the original one.
But it really takes away the kind of shock and awe factor when you first see the clones. It's like, so the Republic's already seen these guys a couple of hundred years ago. It's like we shouldn't be so shocked.
As we always mention, the Hammerhead Corvette. It's like that. Obviously, they reuse it and continue to use it.
Yeah.
It's like they had some really cool stuff in the Old Republic for their clones, and they didn't reuse any of it. They had cool looking armor. It looked really good. Spaceships and stuff, but
no, they don't touch it.
And flare guns. The real significance there of like showing a rebellions are built on hope kind of moment, though. You know.
Yeah. But yeah, so I was a bit sad to hear about that news because I'm still desperate for that Old Republic film or series.
I think you have to wait until someone makes a fan-made film.
Yeah,
That's
but
the
there's
closest
plenty
you
of them
get.
out there, and they're all pretty good. But I just want something official. I want something canon.
I think we should make our own.
There
Get production now.
we go.
Move to New Zealand, we'll have a good wooded area to film Star Wars film in.
Love it. I
Make
think
it 5.
I think it was Simon that wanted to do that, but he was working out the choreography for the fight scenes and stuff like that. Seeing as he's now 3D printing stuff, which is pretty cool.
You could do what Minox Den do and make like armor and stuff.
That'd be
3D
pretty
print
cool.
shit.
Well, it's better than my armor attempt. That thing's horrible.
Don't put yourself down.
Did you ever see it?
Yeah,
The
looks
felt
good.
one. Oh, okay.
that could be your green screen copy.
Mm.
So you just wear that and we'll just green screen it afterwards.
There we go.
Kind of like Iron Man.
Or just tell Simon this is what I want it to look like, except better. Everything I want changed, but
3D
just
print this now.
yeah. But
Simon, if you're listening, you better 3D print it.
yeah,
straight
you
away.
better go on that. But so I think we might need to wrap up pretty soon. We're 24 minutes in, so I was wondering if anyone wants to add any little pointers. I mean, Ellena, you've been looking into the Old Republic stuff, and you watched the cinematics for the game. You also watched. They're good, so good.
They were amazing.
And out of curiosity, which one was your favourite out of all of the cinematics that you watched? I know that they were all edited together, so it was a bit difficult to tell which one. But just like out of the stuff that was happening in it.
I think everything with Valen and what came before with her twin brothers.
Yeah, it was pretty cool how they all linked
cool,
together. And Valen, for me, is a very kind of Harley Quinn character. You don't really see it in the trailer, but there's a moment when she rises to power a bit more. She, like Vader, kills off officers and troops when she gets angry. And she reports back and she's like, "Oh, I killed 17 people," and then she just throws a guard off the edge of the bridge, and it's like, I don't like odd numbers.
I think as well, she's kind of she's not instantly bad. She's created like Harley Quinn. She's tormented until she becomes bad.
And that's something that, although we get to see it, it still doesn't really tell us much. We don't know what those disciples were actually doing to her. Were they kind of like pummeling her with dark side energy?
It's like, here, we're going to use the Force and we're going to make tattoos appear on your body.
Because that was something that I learned quite recently. Apparently, those tattoos from Maul, he never really had them at least as definitively as he did when he was on Dathomir. There we go. That was later during his Sith training.
Maybe it has some sort of significance for channeling the dark side energies.
Perhaps.
Kind of like religious totems and...
Well, there's also something else, because you've also got to take into account dark side degradation, because it's something that Darth Sidious suffered with, hence his kind of wrinkly appearance. It's just how deeply he dived into the dark arts.
Obviously the whole electric burning kind of didn't help either.
No, that didn't help either. But
Henceforth, you shall be known as blah blah blah.
but yeah, perhaps that was something along those lines, that she suffered a different form of dark side degradation.
Because she did go kind of bald, didn't she?
She lost all of her hair, and she suffered the tattoos, and
her eye colour changed.
Her eye colour changed, but only momentarily, because when her mother came to save her, her eyes were back.
Yeah, maybe she wasn't fully immersed, or maybe
it's something that she's able to drop in and out of.
Yeah, because it did happen with Anakin as well.
Yeah, but Anakin wasn't in control of that.
No, but maybe it's the more you use the dark side all at once, so maybe it's like a drainage, or your body getting tired sort of thing.
Yeah, because I imagine he was absolutely exhausted after that fight on Mustafar. Not to mention the fact that he lost limbs and stuff.
Not to mention the Jedi Temple beforehand, that looked tiring.
Yeah, I imagine so.
Swing.
Clean all that child blood off his robes.
Like, oh, nothing happened here, nothing to talk about.
But this is why I want to see more stuff about the Old Republic. And
an explanation would be good.
And that raid on the Jedi Temple that was in the other cinematic,
amazing.
between the Sith and the Jedi. And you also had Republic, or I suppose Temple Guards.
Yeah, Temple Guards, weren't they?
Then the bounty hunters who joined in as well. But they won that fight. The sacking of Coruscant. They then bombed it.
They bombed it to shreds, and they were little fake TIE fighters going all over the place.
Well, they were more like A-wings, to be fair. But yeah, so I just really want to see more of the cinematic stuff on that. Or
they kind of have a prototype Star Destroyer as well, don't they?
They have.
Crab gap.
They have this. Yeah, they have this. It's almost like a Corellian starfighter where they've got the gap, but the hangar's actually in that gap.
You could kind of call it like a prototype Imperial Star Destroyer, really. It's got similarities.
But they didn't have as many different variants as the Empire did. I think it really was just those, and they may have had a super variant. I'm not too sure.
The Empire only had a few variants, didn't they? They only like I think it was Model 1.
Well, they had a couple. I mean, remember they had the one that had the four kind of like spheres that protruded through the hull, and that was to do with
That's a ion. Is it like an ion turret kind of thing?
I think that was the original cannon, but then it became its own tractor beam. So it was able to pull in ships, and then they
Super
would
Star Destroyers and Eclipse class and Interdictor classes and stuff like that.
Because Vader's was different as well in Rogue One. There was
Super Star Destroyer.
No, in Rogue One.
Oh, in Rogue One it was just
a regular Star, because that was the one that you saw in A New Hope.
That was the time of the Model 1 though. So
Okay.
That was like the switch over.
But in Episode 5, when you see all that kind of establishing shot of all the destroyers, some of them do look a bit different. So I suppose they're all the different class. I mean, Tarkin had a personal destroyer, didn't he? At least.
Yeah. His own personal one. At least the shuttles don't change. They're just this traditional white shuttle.
I do like those shuttles.
And then, Kylo Ren comes along, gets his own new shuttle. What bastard? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about Kylo Ren's shuttle. I did love that establishing shot that they had in Episode 7 when it's landing on Jakku, but it almost looks bigger than the town.
Yeah, you can fit the whole town in here. Speaking of shuttles,
yes,
the shuttle from the Old Republic trailer, that must have such good internal spacing because there was like 100 people in there. Didn't even look that big.
Oh, what, the one that crashed into the Jedi Temple? Yeah,
it didn't look that big, but there's just loads of people pouring out of it. Were they respawning in there?
That was their spawn point, like, teleport point. Yeah, that was I suppose they were just all very tightly packed.
Yeah. Well, sitting on each other's laps and stuff, and
they could have had 2 floors on that. To be fair, like, it was definitely big enough to have 2 floors.
Definitely, it's kind of a throwaway, really, isn't it? You don't really see it again. It's got no significance.
Well, no, you wouldn't, because it lost a wing during that landing.
Repair crane comes to take it away, you know.
I don't think there was much left after the bombing of Coruscant. No. But there's more about that whole setup, because apparently there was actually a treaty going on between the Sith and the Jedi on Alderaan, and then the bombing happened, and I think it was the Mandalorian. I'm not too sure, the bounty hunter who shut down the Coruscant shield gate, so that they were able to do that attack in the first place.
She's got out sort of flamethrower wrist guns, isn't she? As well?
That was pretty cool.
The thing is, she does that spinny circle with her flamethrower. Doesn't look like she actually hit anyone.
Just all pretty flames.
No one's burned. They're just like stunned. It's like, oh, play dead.
But yeah, I'd also love to see more about the bounty hunters. I think that's something that
as we're constantly saying, it'd be great to see bounty hunter stuff.
Yeah, we don't.
Less pod racing, more bounty hunting.
More bounty hunting, but I feel like we may be seeing more pod racing yet. But I don't know. Who knows?
It'd be nice for them to do a Boba Fett film, like they was possibly saying doing.
And I think they may be revamping that, as it turns out, because they've been releasing a lot of information about film code names, and one of them's called Tin Can, and apparently there's a lot of links into Boba Fett about that. Okay. So maybe we may still get that Boba Fett film.
Hopefully that's not a derogatory name for the Slave One.
Hopefully not, no.
Yeah, Tin Can.
But I'd love to know, because he has 3 Jedi Padawan ponytails, doesn't he, underneath his shoulder guard. I'd love to know how that went down.
I'm surprised he doesn't use a bloody lightsaber.
Yeah.
Because if he's killed some Jedi, he might as well keep the blades. You don't need to be force sensitive to use.
Maybe he feels them crude, or perhaps he just sold them on, to be fair.
Perhaps. It could be worth a lot of money.
Probably. I mean, the steel and stuff like that, kyber crystals, he could have sold those to the Empire.
They could use them for potential, like, recreating them into dark side sabers and stuff like that.
Now that we've got the new lore about bleeding lightsabers and all that good stuff.
Yeah, and there's some non-canon characters like the Shadow Guard who had their lightsaber pikes. You wouldn't assume they'd just assemble that themselves. No. There might be like a sort of cannibalization of parts and stuff.
No, that's fair enough. But there's a lot to look into with the Old Republic, and I'm constantly diving into it and having a look at it. But who knows? Maybe there'll be some new content coming up from us about the Old Republic. Who knows?
Who knows? Maybe. It'd be great to dive into.
Indeed. But we'll wrap up this podcast for today. So thank you very much, Ellena, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, Harrison, as always.
I'm sure I'll be back again soon.
And hopefully we'll be back with episode 6. And I know that we've been doing a lot of spoiler casts, so hopefully
we can see the film.
We can see the film
on the weekend. And
yes.
talk about it next week.
We can talk about it next week, and hopefully, I'll be a little bit happier about it. Who knows?
It's either he's gonna be super happy or he's gonna be really crying, depression beard.
Yeah, I'll just
Like
constantly talk about Star Trek, but
live long and prosper.
yeah, but hopefully not. Anyway, so we'll do our usual wrap up. So whether you are Jedi or Sith, Republic or CIS, Empire or Rebels, or Resistance or the First Order, in quotation marks, we hope you have a very good evening, day, or wherever you are. Celebrate the day. Celebrate the day.
Celebrate the day.
Take care. May the Force be with you.